Boom, 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 boom. Hey. Okay. Live now, gaming now. Recent. Upcoming lives. Am I the only one who thinks this is just a weird setup? Like, all of the live channels are organized under a channel. It just seems weird. So how do I find my own live stream? Let's see what YouTube gaming looks like.
Let me pause the donation. Hold on. What is this business you have to settle? Who is it?
I think God X is a big fucking lying bitch.
No! Wait, why?
And I think Tyler is fucking alpha as fuck. And I think Mo's cute and he can get girls.
Cutie?
No, Mo.
Mo?
Yeah, Mo.
Who the fuck is Mo?
Yashua.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Greek?
He lied to me, man.
What did Greek say to you?
In our DMs.
Well, hold on. What did Greek say to you? Come here. What happened? What did Greek do to you?
In our DMs, you know, I was talking to Greek because on his Patreon, I gave him like a sum of money, so we talked. Like,
He doesn't have a Patreon.
It's a low-key Patreon, man. Every day we're talking, and like I'm talking to him. One day he fucking snapped, and he told me to fuck off, and I've been crying since that day.
Why did he tell you to fuck off? In DMs?
Yeah, because I called him fat once.
No.
Go to Til's Arcade Bar.
But why did you call him? Why did you say that? That's mean. If someone called me fat and I'm overweight, I would be pissed as well. He's not fat anymore, so he's probably making you eat them words right now.
Put the camera down for a second.
What's the hell am I watching? Next.
So that's going to be this angle. All right. So let's start to see, and of course, these two, this is going to be 109 degrees because those are vertical angles, right? We're getting a lot of nice review in. And finally, angle A, right, is going to be 28 degrees because that's another kind of Z scenario. So this is going to be...
This guy's fucking doing math. That's cool. Jesus. Some of these live streams have a ridiculous amount of views. Didn't realize YouTube was steamrolling like that. I wish I could search live streams. You probably can. Let's do DJ and filter by live. What is this, 2002? Hater. This is not live. Oh, here we go. We got a boy.
Don't want to do a long stream tonight. But today I don't think that I'm going to play some hardcore because I wanted to pick some older techno and hard techno stuff. So hopefully you survive and enjoy.
What was that notification? Oh, it's not live.
You have to understand one thing about directing, that every project.
Take your live streams from this to this with one simple trick. Take your live streams from this
I love how the audio just like drops 60 beats.
to this.
Take your live stream from this.
With one simple trick. Your
Turning on
live streams from this
lights.
to this.
This is not better.
Take your
This looks great. Fix the camera angle. Fix
live
your
streams
lighting.
from
Like
this to this.
all right, I'm gonna give it a chance. We're going to 1080p.
Take your live streams
All right, it's a
From
little
this-
grainy.
to this.
You,
Take your
you got a nice depth of field. I'll give you that.
Foster with Live Streaming Pros, where we give you simple strategies for more authentic.
Oh, that's fire. The red on the brick, the blue room. He's got the guitar, monitors, nice little yellow glow.
And professional live video. You are here because you want to bring your DSLR camera in as a webcam, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Why would you want to bring a DSLR camera in as a webcam? Why would you want to do that? Why? Look at this. Look what you see behind you right now. This is why. Because you can get a shot that looks like this in a Zoom meeting, on a Skype call, in Ecamm software, in vMix software, in any streaming software. It can look this good. You saw what the webcam looked like at the beginning. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look this good.
This looks way better. I'll give you that.
So here are some potential problems you could run into if you try to do this without our help. Not all cameras are going to work. I know, you don't want to hear that, but it's true. Some DSLR cameras have a shut off after 29 minutes, and some of them don't put out clean HDMI. I know, right? So when you're looking for a camera, you want to be sure that you find one that puts out clean HDMI and doesn't shut off. So I know what you're thinking. What's clean HDMI? What is it? Well, clean HDMI is you don't have your camera menu items on the screen. Could you imagine showing up for an interview and that is on your screen? That's so unprofessional. And then also, there's the 29-minute shutoff limit. Yeah, that's right. And you know why? Taxes. It's about taxes. So some cameras just shut off after 29 minutes, and there's no way for you to shut that off. Now, there are ways that you can bypass this stuff, but you might not like it because it comes with some dangers. There's a software called Magic Lantern that you can install. It's a third-party software, and I believe it's
Okay, we're going to slow this down. All alone here. Apparently, I'm not cool enough.
only on Canon cameras, but it removes the limit and also gives you clean HDMI. But it can also mess up your camera, and you shouldn't do it unless you don't mind voiding your warranty. Because you do it, warranty, gone. Now, there are a few cameras that I recommend. The GH5 by Panasonic and the Sony cameras, because those are true broadcast cameras. Almost all those Sony cameras are good for broadcasting. A lot of Canons work, but a lot of them also have the limit. So we put together a list over lsp.tools/camera. Again, that's in the description. But go over there for a list of cameras that we have.
All right. I'm digging it. Okay. Whatever.
That work. Now I'm going to show you how I do it using this very affordable capture card. This is the Elgato 4K.
He's using that right now?
This is $129. It's the most affordable option that we found to bring your DSLR camera into your production. And it's USB 3.0. Now let's show you how to connect it. First, you're going to take it, you're going to plug it into a USB 3 port on your computer, and then you're going to plug a full-size HDMI into one end, and then you're going to plug the other end into your camera. Now remember, there are 3 different types of HDMI inputs on cameras. There's full-size HDMI, there's a mini HDMI, and there's micro HDMI. Make sure you look at your camera and get the right size HDMI, because if you bought the wrong one, that would suck. Now once you have it plugged in, and you open up your software, whether that's Zoom, Skype, vMix, OBS, Facebook, YouTube, you get the idea. You'll find a drop-down, and in that drop-down, you select Elgato Cam Link, and your camera should show up, as long as it's on. It's got to be on. Now, I want to tell you something. I have impressed interviewees by using this method, because when you show up to do an interview, and you're using a DSLR camera, sometimes you're going to look better than the host, because a lot of people still use webcams when they're doing interviews through streaming software, which we feel is a no-no. This can be used in levels 2, 3, and 4 of our 4 levels of live streaming. If you're not familiar with that, level 1 is with your phone, level 2 is with a browser, level 3 is with software, and level 4 is a dedicated machine.
Dude's audio is terrible.
If you want to learn more about that, go to lsp.tools/levels to learn more. Or you can just click the link in the description. Okay, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to this channel and click that bell so you get notified whenever we go live or post more content. My name is David Foster from Live Streaming Pros, where we give you simple strategies for more authentic and professional live video. I'll see you in the next one.
Cool. I could do without the cheesy pans to the other camera. Your guide's in there twice? Okay. Talking trash. Ain't worth it. Not trying to make an anime out of someone who can't figure something out by himself.
Want to bring your DSLR camera in as a webcam, and I'm going to show one simple trick. Take your live streams from this to this with one simple trick. My name is David Foster with Live Streaming Pros, where we give you simple strategies for more authentic and professional live video. You are here because you want to bring your DSLR camera in as a webcam, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Why would you want to bring a DSLR camera in as a webcam? Why would you want to do that?
Ugh, those tattoos. She's cute. Mompreneur. Go get it, girl.
We all use our phones.
Why Khadijah chose Verizon.
I can manage the time they spend on their phone, who they're texting with, all of that. It's a win for all of us.
Plugged in to my computer, HP Envy, and I've got my Blue Slash how-to video. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can use your DSLR camera to stream on OBS. You can use a face cam while streaming with your DSLR camera. So before we get into this video, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button for more tutorials and great content. So let me go ahead and flip my camera around to the setup I have right here on the tripod. I've got my Canon T7i plugged in to my computer, HP Envy, and I've got my Blue Snowball Ice microphone. So first things first, you're going to want to do, I'm going to go ahead transfer my voice over to the computer screen right now, so I don't have to just keep holding this, and then I'll cut back to the actual live footage of how it's all going. Oh, before I go, guys, I got to tell you, I almost made a very dumb mistake. Turn on your camera first, and you just heard that, and this little menu will drop up. You got to plug a USB, not a regular USB, your cable that your camera came with. Like this cable usually has this little thick thing towards the end. You got to plug that into your camera, and this will open. It's called EOS Utility. I'll leave a link down. EOS Utility popped up when I plugged in and turned on my camera. You guys see it recognizes it, EOS Rebel T7i. You want to go ahead and select remote shooting, let it load. This menu right here will pop up. Go down right here. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. Live view shoot. Press on that one time by pressing right there and boom. So we have anything you want. On that, this will pop okay and into each edge, the bottom right here. Let me put it in the top. You can make it up to the chair and you would like. So make sure you follow me on guys using this, and I'll with the sound. Sound does not come from the camera.
Gives you more, like plans families can mix and match, including the new Just Kids plan. That's Verizon.
Hey guys, Caleb here with DSLR Video Shooter, and we're finally getting to the review for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. If you would like to really dive in on this camera because it's incredible and get the most out of it for video and filmmaking, I have completed a fully fledged guide, several hours long, diving into this camera and squeezing every last ounce of quality out of it. So if you really want to push this thing to the limits, definitely check out the guide. I'll have a link in the description, and you could also check out the trailer that I recently did for it. So what's the deal with the Blackmagic? This camera, in my opinion, is kind of like a poor man's Red. It has some incredible potential for filmmaking. So this is not a toy, this is not a cheap garbage little camera. This thing has some wicked chops. It's also pretty much the cheapest Netflix camera out there. So it's not officially on Netflix's supported or approved cameras, but it has the specs to be there. Also, before we jump into my findings with this camera, I do want to say that you really shouldn't compare this to other cameras because it's completely different. It's very much like a Red. I wasn't joking when I said poor man's Red, because you need a bunch of stuff to make this whole system work. So it's not like a GH5 or a XT3, a mirrorless camera where you just put a battery in it, put a lens on it, and you can go shoot. You really do need to add some stuff to it, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But if I were you, I would expect to pay between $2,000 and $2,500 to get a fully rigged setup that is usable for filmmaking and making videos. So without further ado, let's jump into what I think about this camera, starting with image quality. I think for under $2,000, there's no way you're going to beat this camera. It shoots raw. It has an amazing amount of dynamic range. Of course, we have a Micro Four Thirds sensor, so you're dealing with something smaller. But the good news about having bad autofocus, which this camera definitely has bad autofocus, is you can use speed boosters with pretty much no consequences. So currently my setup here is the most reduced focal reducer or speed booster that Metabone sells, the 0.64 adapter, link in the description. And I have a 24mm cinema lens on here from Rokinon. That's going to be a pretty great setup and get us larger than Super 35. So out of the gate, we can kind of solve that with speed boosters. If you want to save a buck or two, check out the Viltrox speed booster for, I believe, under $200. Also, because this camera has a Micro Four Thirds sensor, you pretty much have the most flexibility when it comes to lenses. You can put a tiny 7-14 on here or build it up to full frame glass. Really, the sky's the limit with Micro Four Thirds. Out of the box, we can record both RAW and ProRes on this camera, and there are multiple flavors of each. In the guide, I break down every single one and some recommendations, but if you already have this camera, I would recommend trying the 4:1 compression. It's the most compressed RAW option on the camera, but I found it's really, really good. And get this, it's only barely a hair larger when it comes to file size when you compare it to ProRes HQ. So if you've been thinking, RAW is too much, I'm just going to do ProRes HQ, and for a couple gigs more, you can switch over to RAW, which is pretty impressive. When it comes to dynamic range, things are looking really good on this camera, and it's pretty impressive how far you can push your files. I would say it's very similar to the GH cameras in that even in ProRes, you've got a lot of flexibility. When it comes to shooting RAW, I found you can overexpose about 3 stops and still recover your highlights, which is wild and awesome to have on such a cheap camera. I really like the film log mode on this camera. It gives you a lot of flexibility. The LUT profiles and everything in DaVinci Resolve are really, really powerful. And we should keep in mind that before too long, hopefully, we'll see Blackmagic RAW come to this camera.
What?
So right as I'm uploading this video, Blackmagic goes ahead and releases Blackmagic RAW to the Pocket 4K. So I actually just updated the camera while this video was processing here on YouTube. So as of this moment, you can download and install the update, which will give you Blackmagic RAW. So when you go into the menu, you'll see we now have several more options under RAW, and they also updated a lot of other things to this camera. So here we are. We have Blackmagic RAW, including the brand new 12:1, which I'm really, really excited about, being able to shoot small RAW files. It's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm going to update in the next couple of days or weeks my guide to include all this new information. Just wanted to give you a heads up. It's hilarious how these things happen. At any rate, back to the video. And all those file sizes issues we were talking about are just going to get better and better, or less rough on our hard drives. So Blackmagic RAW has some wild compression options, letting us shoot RAW with very small file sizes. So I can't wait for that to come out, hopefully before too long. So RAW and ProRes, both great, and then we're able to record really awesome frame rates on this camera, up to 4K 60. It also has 120 frames per second in HD, and you can also shoot 120 frames per second RAW. So if you've been shooting on cameras like the one I'm using right now, the A6400, the A7 III, other cameras from, Fuji and Panasonic, we have those high frame rates, but that 1080p file we get out of them is often pretty rough. This camera, however, can shoot some really good slow motion. Now, of course, we have no in-body stabilization on this camera, which is really rough when you add in the fact that it's kind of an awkward camera to hold, and it's very light. So adding a rig like you see here is really going to help with that, and pretty necessary. Another interesting thing with this camera is going to be the media options. We have 3 of them. I go through in my guide every single option and recommendations for what you should go with, but in short, you're going to spend some money if you want that higher lossless RAW options on this camera with various frame rates and resolutions, but you have those options, which I really appreciate Blackmagic including. Also, having that USB-C option and using cheap drives like this Samsung T5 is really, really appreciated. When it comes to low light, I found some really interesting things with this camera. I would say it's similar to the GH5S with a couple of differences. It's not a low light monster. It does have the dual ISO, giving you, better dynamic range at higher ISOs, but this camera has one thing about low light that I have not seen under $5,000 on a camera, and that is the lack of color issues at higher ISOs. Traditionally, when you raise your ISO, you not only get more noise and color in that noise, but you'll see colors start to shift. So this red shirt I'm wearing would either become very desaturated and or it would shift and become either magenta or more orange than red. So this is a huge problem with raising your ISO. This camera, on the other hand, keeps color information almost perfectly pristine until you hit the very last ISO level on the camera. So if you look at 400 native ISO, kind of the best shooting option on this camera, all the way up to really, really high ISOs, you'll notice color isn't really shifting. And that's something that's new to me, especially at this price point. All my other cameras fall apart after at max, maybe 10,000 ISO. So color in low light and high ISOs on this camera is insanely good. Now let's jump over to audio land. This camera is really, really well equipped when it comes to audio. You have multiple inputs, including phantom power over XLR. And then when you jump into the menu system and start going through the audio configurations, you have a lot of options. You can also split channels, which I really, really love. Monitoring features on this camera are out of this world impressive. I hope most other companies kind of copy what Blackmagic is doing here. And it's important that monitoring is good because we have no flip out screen. Now, I know people who are legit cinematographers are going to say, who cares? But a camera screen that's bolted on like this one is really tricky to work with. So using some kind of HDMI monitor is pretty much a must. So the way this works on this camera is you can control what shows up on the back of the screen and what shows up on the HDMI monitor to almost an infinite amount. You can have a clean image on either, you can have information on either, you can even do things like when I press this button, I want these 3 assist features to show up on the monitor and not show up on the camera. Lots of options. There's only one thing I wish they would have included, and that would be a joystick on the camera so I can see my menu on the HDMI. As it stands, you have got to keep the back of the camera open like you see here so you can see your settings and make changes. I'd love to be able to take a fat V mount and back it right up to the camera and use the HDMI monitor for all of my menu work, but unfortunately that's just not the case. Speaking of the lack of a joystick, this camera, when it comes to the button layout and the quality of the buttons, leaves a little bit to be desired. All the buttons are mushy. It's not a fun experience to use. Luckily, the touchscreen is incredible on this camera, but I just wish they were either better quality buttons or just more of them. I would have appreciated more dials, so it's a little lackluster there, but again, we're looking at a $1,300 camera, so that really doesn't bother me. In addition to the buttons, the body kind of feels cheap, and it's insanely lightweight, which is great for using it on like a gimbal, but for handheld, it's gonna be rough. And if you're going for a very cinematic look and you want true handheld and not just floaty gimbal shots, you'll want to build it up like you see here. Putting a cage on it, adding some weight helps a ton, but I kind of wish the body was a little heavier so you could reduce that weight and all that bulk and size and have something a little more beefy but small. When it comes to rigging, it's also a little awkward because of the width of this camera. It's a very wide camera, and part of that is the screen, and of course we've got the battery in the grip off to one side. And when it comes to power, folks, things are rough. We all knew this. You've heard this already, I'm sure, but there are several methods of powering the camera. So right now I'm using an MPF plate externally. You could also use a V-mount. The thing about it though is it's very awkward to power up externally because of this screen that we can't block. So you can't have a V-mount right over it, or else you'll be able to change your settings or do anything in the menus. So that's kind of a bummer, but you can work around it. It's just kind of janky. So in conclusion, I think this is a wonderful, wonderful camera to get started with, especially if you really want to get into cinematography and making movies. It's such a powerful camera for $1,300. Just keep in mind that you will need to invest a little bit in getting something rigged up like you see here. And by the way, if you want to see a whole video on this custom setup using a single battery to power everything, let me know. Maybe we'll do a video. That would be kind of fun, but it's a great filmmaker's tool. It's not like any other mirrorless camera, so I wouldn't compare it with cameras like this, the A6400 or even the XT3. Those are very run and gun friendly. This one is going to need some love to get set up, but it's going to get you much closer to kind of a Hollywood cinematic package, or as close as you can get to a red camera for under $2,000. It's got a crazy flexible mount and sensor for using pretty much any lens on the planet. It does good enough at low light. It shoots raw at 4K, has awesome high frame rate capabilities, and really, really good dynamic range. I also should mention that it comes with DaVinci Resolve, the full pro copy, if you will. So having that tool set, you're ready to edit, you're ready to do some wild grades, and that software alone is almost like going to post-production school once you start digging into it. So I love this camera. Unfortunately, I probably won't be using it as much as some of my mirrorless options, just because doing YouTube videos on your own and using something like this doesn't necessarily make sense. But if you're shooting commercials, documentaries, and even YouTube, and if you have some help, I think this is a wonderful, wonderful camera, and you're just not going to beat the quality for what you're paying for here. So those are my thoughts on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Check it out in the link in the description. Let me know if you want to see what's up with this whole rig and some of the parts. Maybe we'll do a video tearing it all down. That's going to wrap up this one for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
On all of the gear that I've been using lately, coming up. Hey, what's up, Sean here with Think Media, bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. And on this channel, we do a lot of tips and strategy videos as well as tech gear reviews, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And hey, at any point during the video, I'm going to list out all of the various pieces of this live streaming setup in the YouTube description below, as well as any of the accessories or things that I forgot. So check those out at any time. Let's jump into the video. So one thing is for sure, you need to be live streaming. I hope that you already have been, because right now live video is on fire. It's one of the best ways to build your influence and ultimately your income and your impact as well, using platforms like YouTube Live, Facebook Live, or even other platforms like Periscope and these other live streaming opportunities. But how do you create content that's really distinct and stands out from what everybody else is putting out? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down a premium setup. Like, this is no joke. It's not a budget setup. But on a practical sense, I want to say up front, you can get started with what you have. Keep in mind that you can always go live from your phone. Like, most smartphones can produce awesome live video. And then secondly, the budget setup that I used for years consisted of this Logitech webcam. This is the HD Pro C920. It's about $60 here in the US webcam. And you could use any kind of USB mic like this. Just plug it into your laptop or computer. This is a Blue Snowball. It's $50. And so you can live stream, and then using free software like OBS or Google Hangouts, you can start live streaming with some decent quality right away without breaking the bank. And I did that for years. That was basically my setup. However, I recently just upgraded to like the killer setup. Like, this thing is lethal, but it's quite, it's a lot more expensive as well. So let's dive into my new setup. Okay, so let's break down this live streaming setup piece by piece, starting with the camera. Yes, I've been live streaming on a Panasonic GH5. Now, before you say anything, is that camera overkill for live streaming? Yes, we didn't just get it just for live. We also got it for slow motion, for some short film type content or social media content that we'll be creating. But the main thing that it uses on a day-to-day basis is for live streaming. I got it for a couple different reasons. One, I wanted to have a distinct look, and so a lot of the cameras that people recommend are camcorders. Most camcorders can't have like a real wide look to them, and so I kind of wanted a more YouTuber vibe while streaming live. And you can probably imagine why that would be cool, right? You probably want similar things, like being able to stream off a DSLR, in this case, a mirrorless camera. So that's the first piece, and that body comes in at $2,000 here in the US. And then the lens I have is the 12 to 32, super crispy lens, and at 12 it's nice and wide, but you can also zoom in. And I love the ability to be able to have different focal lengths by just being able to reach up right above my monitor here and do that. That's another $1,000. So already we're at a $3,000 setup to start. And one piece of kit that I would recommend is the continuous power solution for the Panasonic GH5. And it actually comes in two pieces. You actually buy the battery piece, and there's a little rubber door that opens on the GH5 to let you plug the wire in, and then you also buy the power supply piece. And it's really expensive if you buy the OEM stuff from Panasonic. I think together it was another $150. Now there is an aftermarket one, but for me, I was like, man, I'm already spending a lot of money to buy a camera that's this nice. I don't want to go cheap on the continuous power that I'm going to be using for years to come. And so this allows it to, you don't need to change batteries. It's just continuously powered. Whenever I want to just flip it on or off, the power is just always plugged in to the wall. Okay, the second piece of gear for this setup is the USB microphone. And for that, we have the Rode NT USB. Now I have a whole video out about this. I'll link it up on the YouTube card as well as in the description below. But I wanted a good solution for the desk here, and the boom arm was pretty important because one of my goals for this live streaming setup was that it would be quick and easy to just flip on and flip off. So in the past, I would actually carry a stand in and out, but I realized I just want to be able to sit down, turn the camera on, open up the software, and just get going, just get creating content. This setup is going to be used for years to come, so I'm probably going to create over 1,000 videos and live streams just from this setup. So I want it to be right. I want it to be fast. I want it to be solid, and this is a great mic for that. I can move it to all kinds of different locations depending on where I'm sitting or position. Good audio quality, super easy to use, a solid choice. All right, the next piece of this kit is this ReadyCam tabletop tripod. Now I love this tripod. It was actually kind of hard to search around on BH and Amazon to find a solid tripod like this, but specifically I wanted this to be able to go behind the computer monitor, and so that's a great tripod. Maybe you would want to use it for something else. It's a kind of a cool find, and that comes in at $30 here in the US. Okay, now we've got our mic, we've got our camera, we've got our tabletop tripod, we've got continuous power going to the camera, and now we need to plug this into our capture card. So you need an HDMI cable, but here's a power tip for this particular setup. I have these little L brackets, and these are actually adapters from Cable Matters, and these are in $8 for a 2-pack, but it's huge because as you can see, it keeps the HDMI cable allowing you to still see the LCD screen, which is something I liked. I didn't want to just monitor myself on the actual feed that I could see on my computer. I also wanted to be able to see the screen and tap adjustments for the camera and whatnot. So that gets the HDMI cable out of the way, so that's a huge power tip if you're using a camera with a flip screen and you want to use the HDMI. Okay, so then next up, we have the HDMI cable, and that goes over to our PC, and inside the PC is a Blackmagic Intensity Pro 4K capture card. So yes, I've actually been HD streaming mostly because I don't really want to put out 4K, but I did want to future-proof my setup, and so the GH5 can push out that 4K signal with the full-size HDMI output, and the card can also take 4K content. And so I've already tested it on a day-to-day basis. I'm not really streaming in 4K, but that is what's nice about this, is it is ultimately a 4K setup. And so that Blackmagic capture card comes in at $190 here in the US at the time of making this video. It's been super solid, no dependability issues or anything. And so if you have a PC and that allows you to put PCI cards in it or PCI Express, any capture card that has good reviews should work. But in this case, it's the Intensity Pro, and it's been working great. Okay, so that brings us to the PC. So this is a custom PC build from Computer Upgrade Kings. So you can kind of go there, you can start with a case and kind of a baseline of components and add other pieces if you want. This is 64 gigabytes of RAM, i7 processor with 4 gigahertz speed. So it's a very good computer. Now this PC itself came in around $2,100 here in the US. And I actually have a whole video out about it. It's probably a lot cheaper now because it's maybe 6 months old, but I'll link that up on the YouTube card in the description below if you want to actually see the details about this PC. I also like Computer Upgrade Kings because you can get some high performance machines, processing power. You wouldn't need to like completely handle multi. And so there's a couple different softwares for live streaming. I used OBS for a while, which is a free software. It had a lot of issues with syncing of the audio and the video on this setup. Now, one thing that could kind of solve that problem if maybe you're working on live streaming things is that I thought about just putting a shotgun mic on the GH5. That way the audio could come off the camera as well as the video and just stream right from that. That definitely would have been a solution with some simpler software. But I definitely wanted to use a separate USB mic. There were some syncing issues. And the solution to that was vMix. That's what I've been using the most. And so vMix, in fact, a lot of this setup was influenced by David and Luria from Live Streaming Pros. I'll actually link to them in the description below. They helped me pick out all this gear and really set me down this path. They are the experts when it comes to live streaming. But they recommended vMix, and it's been amazing. It's been relatively easy to use, and I've had no audio syncing issues. Everything looks great. I've had no crashing issues, and so I've really been falling in love with it. What's pretty cool about vMix is you actually can do a 60-day trial free. I'm actually still in my trial period, and then if you only stream HD, it can be as cheap as like $60. But if you want to push it to 4K or have a lot of extra features, it can go up to like $300 or even 700. But what's cool is it's just a simple version of it. It's pretty affordable. Okay, so that covers the software. But one question I have is how do you actually turn that software on so that the feed goes live to Facebook or YouTube? And vMix
Hmm. Jesus, that's expensive.
actually has some tutorials that walk you through step by step how to set those up. So I'll link to those in the description below. Okay, next up is a light source. Now, if you're going to be going live streaming from a setup like this on a continual basis, you're definitely going to want to invest in some static lighting that's just really easy to just like reach up, flip the switch, and you're good to go. So this is actually kind of like a beauty dish from DVE store. It's about a $300 light. I like it, but I think you could get, research a lot of different lighting. Obviously, your space is going to matter. It's probably important to note that this is a larger desk, so you can see there's space here, but then there's another 1.5 feet that gives us space to put a little lighting stand back there, as well as the tripod and the camera and things like that. But definitely include some sort of a light source for your pro live streaming setup. All right, next up is dual monitors. Let me flip this off. And this is actually pretty important for live streaming. And here's why. Because I use live streaming most for teaching, whereas I'm on camera, but then I like to show like a presentation, I like to have one monitor dedicated to the screen that I'm sharing. And so when I found with live streaming, if you got your software, and then you're also trying to see people's comments, and then maybe you also have your slides and things like that, I found that dual monitors is pretty essential. And you can pretty much use any kind of monitors, but I usually put vMix right here. I've got my PowerPoint right there, and then I usually will open up YouTube comments down here, over here. So that's kind of my dashboard that I work from. And then whatever is over here is I could put on screen. So I could just show different slides from PowerPoint, or I could show off an internet site and walk people through YouTube analytics or anything that I might be teaching. And then finally, this isn't really part of the hardware side of things, but just kind of a tip in my live streaming process is, as I said, I like to teach the most on live streaming. So a lot of times I'm creating slide decks, and for me, I use PowerPoint, but one of my favorite resources is actually called Graphics River and Envato Market. So you can just go to Graphics River, and I'll link it up in the description below, and you can go to presentations, and they've got Google Slides, Keynote templates, and PowerPoint templates. And what I found is one way to level up kind of the branding, the quality, the vibe of a presentation is just spending 10 or 15 bucks to buy a presentation that looks really clean and really pro, and then just add all my information in there first. And so basically, it does the heavy lifting for you. You can research different color schemes and all kind of things like that. And so I found that puts a little bit extra in the stream quality if you just design some nice slides to go along with it. All right, so that pretty much covers the gear side of the setup. But one of the big challenges with live streaming is not just the production value, but it's also coming up with the content and holding people's attention. So if you actually want to see my best tips on how to get more views and grow your audience using live streaming and live video, I'll link to a training video about that on the YouTube card and in the description below. Question of the day: what are you currently live streaming with? Let me know in the comment section below. And also let me know if you have any questions or feedback about this setup. I would love to connect with you in the comment section. So thanks for checking out this video. Definitely subscribe.
Holy shit, it's pouring out there.
To improve the quality of your live stream or any other video camera. It's super simple for live streaming. Hey, it's Justin from Primal Video, where we help you leverage video to amplify your business and brand. And the process works even if you're not live streaming and you just want to use that camera or DSLR as a webcam for an interview or for a presentation or pretty much any other online video. And while we're stepping through the process, I'll also touch on some of my favorite software for live streaming. But I want to hear from you guys. What software do you use the most and why? Drop a note in the comments below and take a look at what some of the other people are commenting as well, because you might find some cool new tools. All right, so step number one, or the first thing you're going to need is an HDMI interface unit or an HDMI capture card, some way to get the video feed from your camera into your computer. Now we'll have links down in the description to everything we're going to mention in this video, but Blackmagic is a company that makes some really great gear for doing exactly this. I'm a big fan of the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder, which sells for around the $145 price point. This one is Thunderbolt only and Mac only, but it will let you plug in both HDMI or SDI cameras. Now another great option by Blackmagic if you're on Windows or you're looking for a USB 3 equivalent. If you don't have Thunderbolt, then you can check out the Intensity Shuttle, and you can pick these up for around the $199 price point. Another company that makes some really great gear for doing exactly this. I'm a big fan of the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder, which sells for around the $145 price point. This one is Thunderbolt only and Mac only, but it will let you plug in both HDMI or SDI cameras. Now another great option by Blackmagic if you're on Windows or you're looking for a USB 3 equivalent. If you don't have Thunderbolt, then you can check out the Intensity Shuttle, and you can pick these up for around the $199 price point. Another company that makes really great HDMI interface units is called Ableton. There's two main ones that they sell. One of them is a 1080p version, and the other one is a 4K version, selling for around $399 and $499. And the biggest advantage with these ones is that whether you're on Mac or PC, there's no drivers or software or anything that you need to install to get them up and running. So they are probably the easiest to get running, but they are a little bit more expensive. And there's lots of other options out there as well, but these ones are really my go-to recommendations. We've also used a few devices from Elgato, and while they work well for the live streaming side, a lot of them can't easily be used to mimic a webcam or to be used as a webcam inside of apps like Skype. So yeah, check out the Blackmagic or the Ableton. So now you've got your HDMI interface unit sorted, the next thing you're going to need is a camera with clean HDMI output. So the video feed that's coming out of your camera through HDMI is clean. It doesn't have all of your camera status and display and battery level and record time and all that information. Some cameras actually output that through HDMI with no way of turning it off. Now, this can be the case with all different brands of cameras, but there are a lot of Canon cameras specifically that don't give you that clean HDMI output or the video feed without all your camera data on it. Now this isn't the case for most cameras, but you will want to do a quick Google search for your camera make and model with the words clean HDMI afterwards to see if your camera actually has clean HDMI output. Otherwise, the video feed or all the video footage you're going to get out of that camera while you're live streaming will have all of your camera data on it too. The next step then is to connect everything up, so plug your camera into your interface unit, then connect the interface unit into your Mac or PC, and then open up either your live streaming app, things like OBS, Wirecast, vMix, Ecamm, whatever it is you're using to live stream, or whatever it is you're using for will have all of your camera data on it too. The next step then is to connect everything up, so plug your camera into your interface unit, then connect the interface unit into your Mac or PC, and then open up either your live streaming app, things like OBS, Wirecast, vMix, Ecamm, whatever it is you're using to live stream, or whatever it is you're using for video communication, whether it's Skype or Zoom or any other platform. Then it's just a matter of selecting your webcam or your video source to be that interface unit, which is your camera. Now, depending on your computer, which camera you're using, and which interface you're using, there can be some delay between the audio and the video if you're using a microphone that's not connected to the camera itself. So if you're using a podcast style microphone directly into the computer, you can sometimes have delay between the audio going directly into your computer and the video coming through the HDMI interface unit. Now, there's a couple of ways you can overcome this. If you have the ability to plug in your microphones or your audio directly into your camera itself, then that HDMI feed from your camera into your computer is going to have the audio perfectly in sync because it's all coming from the camera itself. Another way you can fix this, if your video and audio are slightly out of sync, is if you're using software for live streaming like vMix or Wirecast, you actually have the option to adjust the delay on the audio so that it can match your camera and stay in sync while people are watching. So that's how easy it is to use your DSLR, your mirrorless, or your video cameras for live streaming or for things like Skype calls or Zoom calls as well. Now, if you're interested in finding out how you can live stream on YouTube with more than one person on the screen with you, then check out the video linked on screen, and I'll see you soon.
Two choices on my mind, 4 hours on the road, control, go around it 1,000 times.
All alone. So call out my name. Yeah, yeah, yeah.